it's left to them if they decide to squander it. But you have to give them the right mindset that they have to work to keep this wealth at the level that it is. Even the Bible says a good man leaves inheritance for his children and even his children's children.
Yes, inheritance, so, anointed, not wealth. Let me explain. Anointed, if you have children right now, right, or when you have more children, would you prefer to send them to a school that costs 1 million naira or send them to a government girls secondary school?
Well, if I can afford the school,
you can. You can.
Be good for them.
You can.
Then I go on with it.
You go on do it. But what if I tell you by sending them to that school, you are making them less motivated than if you send them to Poto Primary School, for example?
It all depends on the time of value you instill into them and what you always tell them. A child will always turn out to be good or bad. It depends on his decision, but you will always do your best as parents.
All right, do your best as parents. Irabo is on Odili Road. Irabo, good morning to you, please.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Very well, Irabo. Thank you for joining us, please.
Yes, as we got the topic for discussion, whether we prefer to leave wealth for our children, we must understand that wealth is different from riches. The riches, the wealth that the scripture talk about, that the righteous or a good man leave for his children, is not necessarily money. Let us see that as a good name, which is built over the years. There are some people that just mentioning their name open doors for their children, even their grandchildren. So that is the real wealth that you leave for your children. So it's different from the money accumulation, which anybody can squander.
All right.
It is things that nobody can actually squander. It stays with you and you continue to draw from it like a tree. You continue to bear fruit.
Fascinating insight. Thank you very much, Irabo. Aliko is speaking to us from airports. Good morning to you, Aliko.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Go on, please.
I like this narrative, but the people that actually bother about this thing is the middle class.
Aliko, please turn off your radio set or step away from the radio, please.
The people at the upper class, it just flows. The people who struggle, who try to meet up because they are looking at the people higher up, are people at the middle class. And it's difficult when you have the peers of your children, posing, coming around with the trophy-driven cars, and you wouldn't want to measure up. You wouldn't want to, peers of your children, the parents already have investment that they come to school to talk about. It's difficult that you would not want to get into that level for the purpose of allowing your children to grow. Because I read something in a certain book that the child has but one youth, and he has every reason to think himself very rich, because if that stage is gone, he will never come back to it. So if you have the means, you should make your children proud. They should know. They should feel it.
They should feel it.
Their side is meeting up.
I don't know if you can message, but because your children should feel it. Their father is, your children should know. They should know exactly what dad is doing. How he does it. They should know. But once again, the advice says, let your children know how after they have established a mature, disciplined, and a lifestyle. But when that happens, is it when they're 18? Is that when they know how affluent you are? I mean that if you can afford a bill car every year, you would not children don't get misconstrued. How does that work? I remember to an interview of Davido that he granted a few years ago, so that's a year before. He said he didn't know that his parents were rich early. It was his teens. He didn't understand it. somehow he was cocooned. Yes, he was going to a good school, but he didn't realize his parents were as rich as people thought or knew they were until he was in his teens. Okay, let's come on. Should you really believe in wealth? And say, well, if you do problems. our final bit this morning, and it's exactly 27 minutes to the top of the hour. Now, our conversation today is about wealth. We all love to be good, rich, comfortable. We all love to live a life that affords us the freedom to do what we want to do. Many ascribe the current system that the world is operating as parasitic, restrictive, and subjugative. Because the animals, they roam the earth free. They don't worry about clothing. They don't worry about food. Food is always there, barring a major catastrophe. Even during dry season, even when there's a scarcity, more of the animals will find a way to either migrate or get a source to, as it were, enjoy themselves. They live their lives, however short or long they may be, without necessarily bothering about Wi-Fi, without worrying about investments, without worrying about power, without worrying about police collecting money from you on the road, or healthcare. If they are sick, well, it happens. But you see, wealth, particularly, financial wealth, is meant to buffer, protect, insulate you and your family members from the vagaries of modern day society. What is wealth, really? Well, maybe you can tell me. A recent survey showed that the more money parents give to children, the less creative, the less ambitious they become. They're not motivated. Everything comes to them, as they say, on the platter of gold. Some of the wealthiest people on this planet have decided, you know what? We are not going to be giving our children any more money. Yes, we give them a few millions, but that's it. After that, give everything to charity.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeria Info FM. Nigeria Info, let's talk.
Well, we have Zion on the line. Zion, do you agree with this survey that was carried out? Welcome, please.
Yeah, good morning to you. I mean that the survey is interesting. I would not subscribe to that. I would. Yes, I know that in 2009 there was also a survey from America that said that if only 1% of children that will receive inheritance from their parents that survive. Only 1%.
Wow.
Now, what is the essence of we struggling for money tonight? Is it not our children? I believe that if you train up your children, but when you fail to train them, and you're already taking care of them, that is only where you have this problem. If you don't let them to know your position, how will they survive? So parents today build houses, just a house, that their children cannot maintain and their parents are dead. Because the children cannot navigate it. It cannot. But turns up to some parents drop some wealth for their children, drop up on the cars they drive, the house they live, some certain opportunity, the lands most of us are selling today. You know what our parents dropped for us? See, I took it upon myself. Every land, there are 5 cash crops in that land planted already. And all is for my children. When I mean cash crops, Odara is there, mango is there, orange is there, coconut is there, then pawpaw is there. At least they're all lined up there. Do you know how much Odara is making? You don't dare to do them. That is all when you will give your properties and your wealth. But when you train them, they will know that, look, this is how we are short before I leave the floor. Mention one politician in Nigeria that is so assassination as in one politician. I'm not talking about one that forces people that go to my influence. You go there. The child is making way on his own. The way his father is making his
That's a good question, Zion. all right. So that raises a very good question there, right? So how many politicians right now who are influential, who have been influential in the past, have had their children, told the same path and as influential as they were in their time? Now, when he made mention of that, my mind was immediately cast to the United States of America, where you have Kennedy family. It's a family of politicians, from president to governor to senators. A lot of the Kennedy offsprings at one point in time have worked for the government of the United States of America. The same thing can be said about the Bush family. It's a heritage. How many families could boldly say that they have had two of the male figures in that family becoming president of the United States of America? There was George Bush Sr. and then there was George Bush Jr., the younger one, who is still alive today. How did they make you work? Whilst those are great examples, let's be honest, Abraham Lincoln's son did not become president. Let's be honest. The same thing about George Washington. Let's be honest. I can go on and reel out big names, historic figures, that their sons and their daughters did not become as great as they were. Even footballers. But when we talk about wealth this morning, there's something that it is important. Even the Bible says, store up great treasures for yourself and indeed for your generation. There's nothing to make after what the Bible says. I am the Lord that teaches you how to make wealth. The question is, how of it should be exposed to you, a sizable, it's not just uncoupled value system. So you
stations.
I'm going to go to social media right now. I'm going to read as many messages as possible at Nigeria MPH, so you find us on Facebook, and at Nigeria MPH on Facebook and on Twitter. At Nigeria Info PH, where you find us on Facebook and on Twitter. Then for Threads and Instagram, Nigeria Info FM _PH. Nigeria Info FM _PH. Now, James Namani says, good morning, Samuel. Emphatically, yes. Every parent should try his possible best to lay foundations economically for their children so that they will have a beginning by tomorrow. As James Namani from Nkanu East local government area of Enugu State. Thank you very much, James. Cole Gustavo says, good morning, Jude. I'm Gustavo, listening from Yaoundé, in Cameroon. Well, for me, I think it is my responsibility to leave my wealth for my children or child. That is, if my chi blesses me with one. It hasn't been easy growing up with no inheritance from my parents, and I will not want my children to go through that. Thank you very much, Gustavo. Brown is speaking to us from Diobu. Brown, good morning to you, please.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, in civilized nations, passing on wealth or maybe like the families of the presidency and the Senate, like you mentioned in US, these are based on merit, especially with the records the parents of such kids have kept. But in Nigeria, like if a certain president wants to stay for 300 years in office and they can still force us to serve their kids, that's why we, people in this country, have poor access to things so that those bourgeoisies will still be the ones to rule us upper years. As for keeping money to kids or maybe exposing them to wealth, in all honesty, it is okay that your children should have at least 40 to 35% of exposure of how the real life is, and not everything should be made available to them. Else, it becomes a weakness.
All right. So you think they should not be giving everything? It shouldn't be at their beck and call.
You have to come to Diobo. To Diobo, you're not giving anything. No. You trek to school and you come back by yourself. Nobody picks you up from anywhere. It is through walking under the sun to school that you know how the life is. You learn through experience. Most of the kids who have all those greener lives, you can see even during the time of the EndSARS protest, you might not even see any of those kids around because the poor kids will have to feast on them. So you have to be grounded. So when you have emergencies on the corners of the street, anywhere, bad boys stop you, you know how to maneuver. But once you have everything rosy to you, you will not know the realities of life. Oh, my dad can do this. I've seen kids who brag, do you know who my daddy is? They become stupid and wayward. The chances of them not even having a better life are so high. So you have to allow the kids at least to have a certain level of exposure and to fend for themselves, to hustle. They should know that it is not because my daddy is a House of Rep member or because my daddy is a senator, then I can do anyhow because my future is already secured. It shouldn't be so. They need to learn how to hustle.
They need to learn how to hustle. Brown from Jobu, thank you very much. That has to be my comment of the day. Did you hear that? Do you know who my daddy is? Comment of the day. There are a lot of children who will make that brag. Do you know who I am, where I'm from, to know what we do? Not that he made mention of it. Back in secondary school and even primary school, I did meet some people who will make, those kind of claims. Oh, I don't do such. We don't even eat this kind of food here. We don't. Who are you? No. It's wrong now. We'll show you into. Look. Once again, I can understand any parent wanting to give the very best to their sons and their daughters. I can understand that. But maybe, just like Brown is saying, maybe we should, come back and remember that there's, in quote, a real life out there. 0809 030 6416 0809 030 6416. All right, Jude, I am very skeptical about taking quotes as gospel from folks who have had no experience of a thing. People who weren't born into wealth don't know what it is like, so their opinions and term papers on it are invalid. I was born into serious wealth, but stuff happened and I struggled to make my own. Jude, I married into even more wealth than I was born into, and it took years for my mindset to correct, to accept I wasn't born to suffer. Imagine being married to a wife you love who finds it very difficult to receive. Kai, my husband is a saint. My children will inherit wealth, cash and assets that will be put in a trust, plus education to know how to handle wealth from a young age and morals to be good people. This is very honest. Very honest comment here. Okay, all right. Elsewhere, that's even a flash. Okay, this person's complaining about power. We have made a complaint, by the way. I'm surprised that it's not being resolved. Grant is speaking to us from Mile 2. Let's say hello to Grant this morning. Grant, good morning to you, please.
Okay, good morning. It was Grant, not Brown. You mistook my name.
Oh, apology. Brown. Oh, I saw Brown on the computer. Apologies, please. Okay,
so the thing is, I know you asked. Sometimes in the rural areas, if you go to the villages, you can see a girl of 9 years. She can make soup and fend for her younger one. Yes, you can come to, even, let me be honest with you, Job. Sometimes people criticize, people like it's rough, is all that. But you see a child of 4-5 years is already exposed and knowledgeable in life. The other one could be academically smart. 7 times 5 is 8. But when you come out to the real world, can you exercise your smartness? No. An average child of 16 years in Job is 42 years in the real world. Like if you take a 16-year-old child from the rural area to GRA, in GRA, he becomes 42 years because of his experience and to life. They are not afraid. They are not being panicked by the real life situation. You hear them shooting. Instead of to run inside, they come out, come look. Who be that? So anything happen. They are bold enough to take care of themselves. In Job, you can beat your child and leave them naked. They'll feed themselves. All they just need is don't lock them inside the house. They'll feed themselves and come back to the house at night.
But is that really safe? But God, is that really raising children or having a laissez-faire attitude towards that? Because there has to be risk. When we talk about passing on wealth, what you're describing is a wealth of experience, right? And there really isn't any substitute for experience. But what about security and safety? These things are not to be compromised.
Well, the thing is, there's risk in every part of life. Even without taking risk is another big risk. So the point I'm trying to make is, if you make everything rosy, just like one of the contributors said, it's like having a wife who could not curtail with poverty or who could not curtail with tough times. If you had kids who already know the rosy days, you might have a problem because when times are hard, you go into depression and you might commit suicide. It's like a child who has never known tough times in their life. I've been to an apartment where they took light, and because the generator was not working very fine, the kids in the house started crying. And I asked their dad what's happening. They said, no, they're not used to them taking light. I said, they never took candle, or they never on lantern for them before. They are not used to it. So what if things goes bad for daddy?
Yeah.
Even the reason why the country is still stable now is because the chance of those who are going through tough times are high. The government should not only be focusing on those who have graduated, we need works for them. You should be focusing on those who are not even opportune to have these opportunities to have a better life, because they are the ones that are going to be the problem in the real future. So it is because of their tolerance, that's why we have the country at peace. If you have kids, in as much as you want to take care of their educational life and their moral life, make them understand that it's not always rosy. Some days come and tell them, this evening, see, because of so and so, we will not be eating pizza. Today we will manage with donuts. From donuts, you reduce it to Gary. May they know as the life be.
Grant, thank you very much. A pleasure to have spoken with you this morning. Fantastic conversation there. At Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on Twitter. At Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and Twitter. Our final conversation is all about passing on wealth. Should you really be passing on a lot of money to your children? Well, research shows that might not be very goals. Wealth doesn't pass 3 generations. I did not write it. One family generation builds the wealth. The next generation maintains it. The third generation melts it like ice cream on the beach. We often think wealthy families pass money intergenerationally, like on an ongoing relay race, but that almost never happens. Most of the families that were rich 70 years ago are no longer rich. Once again, like I said earlier on the Forbes top 100 richest people, right? There were overwhelmingly high numbers who were either first or second generationally rich. This is 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, where was Mark Zuckerberg in the year 2000? Where was Elon Musk 30 years ago? Where was his family? Let's use Elon Musk as a case study. That's you could say that's first generation wealth right there. We're talking about the richest man on the planet. He didn't come from a long line of richest men on the planet. He didn't. The question is, would he have a progeny of the richest people on the planet? That's another big question. In 2019, as I wrap up, I'm going to read more comments now. In 2019, a survey by a UK asset manager, Canada Life, found in 2019 that 1 in 5 British millionaires over the age of 45 is not, or rather at that time, was not planning on leaving anything behind for their heirs. 1 in 5. That's 20%. They are not going to leave anything for their children. Half of them even said they will spend everything before their time was up. And 10% said they will leave it to charity. So why these drastic moves on the parents' behalf? Once again, it goes back to the research that showed that children of very wealthy people very often times were not motivated to do anything. We're not. Final comments 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003, 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003. Alright, I'll send this message, but unfortunately we can't do a power updates now. But like I said, I have addressed this and I've sent a message. I'll now do that again, please. That's when we're talking about power challenges in their area. That's a Miniata Estate, East West Road, Port Harcourt. All right. Thank you very much. Good morning, Jude. Tamia here. I was that silver spoon kid that got whatever I wanted, but there were ifs and buts and maybes. A song daily at night. It was early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy and wise. At waking, it was my mother, may have been my father, but God bless the child that has its own. We were made to wash our own clothes by the age of 10, despite the number of house helps around the house. As a result, we have excelled marvelously in many envious fields. Now we have what is proudly our own, and our parents are happy to add what they have to ours. It made us independent. Oh, good to have read that. Good to have read that. That parents are actually being intentional in raising their children. My name is Jude. I have to intentionally let you know that we are getting off of this conversation, and the news is coming up your way by midday, and then we'll be transferring all issues to the sunny side of life from 12:25 p.m. Do have yourself a wonderful day. And yes, if you can, please make as much wealth as you possibly can and pass on to your children. But it's not just finances, like somebody said. It's also cultural. It's also behavioral. These are the things that makes the man. Manners, they say.
Nigeria Info. Right back after this.
Go, 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 go.